Hello, everyone. My name is Aman Thakur, and I lead the product for Experience Search and Discovery. And I have here with me my friend and colleague Richard.
Hey,
Richard, you
I'm
want to introduce?
Richard Sim. I'm the Senior Director of Product here at Roblox for Commerce. Super bummed that we can't be there in person. It is a sign of the times, but this is my third RDC, and we will do our best to try to be as engaging and informative as possible.
Okay, so we're going to talk about discovery on Roblox. I'm guessing all developers are really excited about this topic. We definitely are. Eventually, this is really what it all boils down to. I know all of you start with an idea, build an experience, with the hope of getting it discovered on the platform, getting people to play it and engage with it. So we are totally excited to talk about it. Here is the agenda. We're actually going to break it into two parts. I'm going to talk about organic discovery on Roblox. And then Richard is going to talk about how you can take matters in your own hands with sponsored ads. And within organic discovery, um, I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about our goal, what the goal for discovery is, how discovery has changed, how we are personalizing it, and also leave you with some ideas of what you could work on to make discovery better for your experience, as well as how we plan to help you. I'm pretty certain that almost everybody in the room would have expressed frustration with discovery at some point or the other. Part of it is because our discovery isn't perfect and there is a lot of runway to make it better. But part of it is also because of insufficient understanding about discovery on Roblox today, especially because it is recently changed. So we'll try to address that. Richard, do you want to add anything about sponsored ads?
Sure. Yeah, so I will close out the session with really what I refer to as taking control of your own destiny. We have a sponsored ad system. I want to walk you through the benefits of leveraging the sponsored ad system when you may not be getting the discovery that you want through organic. We'll walk you through how to get the most value out of the system and then also give you a preview of what's coming next.
So awesome. Let's first talk about organic discovery, and what better place than to start talking about our goal. The goal for our team is really to increase overall platform engagement. We believe that our users are very diverse, and they're going to get even more diverse as we start to expand globally and also into new demographic. Our success as a platform is going to depend on our ability to showcase the most relevant and the most useful and engaging content for each user, which is why we think of our success metric in terms of total time spent, which is the total time spent within the product. We believe that if this metric is increasing, we can conclude that we are acquiring good users and we're keeping them engaged. But for us to really achieve this goal, it really means efficiently distributing the content that our developers make, which is why we also see our goal as helping every developer find the right audience and being successful. It is our belief that if users find engaging content, appealing content, they will engage more, and this will benefit the entire Roblox developer community. It will help a new developer who's trying to build a new experience, so we divert traffic to them, give them engagement, and set them up for an opportunity to be successful. It also helps existing and already successful developers on Roblox because we grow the pie. And especially when these successful developers try to launch new experiences, we help them too. So before we talk about the changes that we are making with Discovery, it's really important to understand where we're coming from. Discovery historically on Roblox has been popularity based. The Discover page was the central focus from where all discovery happened. We had a lot of these sorts. which captured some dimension of popularity. So we had most engaging, popular, top rated, top earning, etc. What we did was we recommended the most popular games to users, and naturally, these games achieved a lot of engagement because we were recommending them so often. They got a lot of engagement, which actually in turn made them even more popular, making it harder for new developers to be successful and to have their games discovered on Roblox. Which is why most of our developers have focused a lot of their intention on popularity attributes of their games, such as concurrent player count or user ratings. But this kind of a recommendation system works for a great majority of users who are interested in popular content. For users who are interested in diverse content, it becomes harder and harder for them to find content and engage with. And it also becomes harder for the majority. So after you've cycled through all this content, it becomes harder for you to find new content. So how are we changing this? We're trying to change this, make it better through personalized recommendations. Many of you would have noticed that our homepage has changed significantly. You see a lot of personalized recommendation. I want to highlight that the content and the recommendations that users see on the homepage are unique for each user, personalized to what is appealing to them, what is relevant to them. What this means is they see different sorts, they see the sorts in different order, and also within the sort, the content could be very, very different. A question that a lot of developers often ask me, and it goes something like this. A user sees a role play sort on the homepage. I am one of the most popular role play game on the platform. Why am I not in this sort? And it's really important to understand. This sort is not a role play sort with the most popular game, but a sort of role play games that the user may like to play. And there's a big difference. Why would a popular role play game not be in the sort? There could be several reasons for it. Maybe the user has already played the game enough number of times and they want to try some new role play games. It could also be that a user is generally interested in role play as a category, but not specifically that particular experience. With these changes, we have seen that the home page has become more engaging. There has been a gradual shift in engagement from the Discover page onto the home page, with the Discover page now playing a marginal role in new content discovery. So we are making homepage better. We are truly making homepage the homepage for all discovery. Some of you may have noticed that we have recently made navigational changes also in the product where we land newly created accounts directly onto the homepage as opposed to the discover page as it was in the past. So expect to see more changes on the homepage, uh, more personalized recommendations on the homepage. So naturally, our developers would be curious to understand what are the factors that really determine the relevance and how do we determine what personalized recommendations to show to a user. We actually use a lot of signals, a lot of features to determine what is the right content to recommend to a user, but they broadly fall into these four categories of signals. The first is demographics, which includes the age, gender, country, and language preferences of the user. This next up is content preferences. So we look at a user's historical engagement pattern. What is the kind of content that they have naturally engaged with more? This could be based on genre or ga- gameplay mechanics. Next area is co-play preferences or co-experience preferences. We all know that Roblox is a social platform. It's always more fun to play with your friends. So we take into account activity of friends, what are the kind of experiences that they engage with. We also take into account the presence of your friend and what experiences they are in. And then finally, we also look at past activity or recent activity of the user, where we determine, how engagement of the user with a particular game has grown, sustained, or dropped over time, which is an indicator of whether they are interested to find new content or they want to re-engage with previously consumed content. The important thing that I want to highlight here is that historically, when recommendations were very popularity based, every engagement with your experience was beneficial. Getting a click and a gameplay into your experience, even if it is for a few seconds, helps the developer because you gain a concurrent player and you also gain some seconds of engagement, which is really pushing you higher on popularity. But with personalization, some of these things have changed. It is not about popularity, it is about the efficiency with which you convert your impressions into actual engagement. And there are really two parts to it. The first is our ability to distribute your content to users who are more likely to engage with it. And the second part is the appeal and quality of your game in actually converting that impression into true engagement. So the next few slides that I'm going to present are really going to be highlighting how you can appeal, how you can increase the appeal of your game and convert valuable impressions into engagement, which really helps the ranking of your game. First, first up is it's really important to pick better titles. Here are a few examples of things not to do. Avoid using emojis and special characters in your title because it makes it really hard for users to search for your game when they are searching for it. Make sure that your title is clearly visible so that users can recognize it and engage with it when they want to. I want to emphasize that there are no bad titles. Pick a title which you think is representative of your game, but make sure that it is clearly visible and it does not include special characters and emojis because which can make it really hard to find. Also, another thing to keep in mind is your audience. So if you're building an experience for an 8-year-old, pick a title that they will be able to spell correctly and actually search for it, because a lot of discovery also happens outside of the platform. Users learn about new games outside of the product and they come to Roblox and search for it. The second thing to do is picking up a really good representative thumbnail. Again, I want to emphasize that we do not penalize or reward any special kind of an image. Feel, but it's really important for you to pick a representative thumbnail because images are appealing. Users form opinion about your game after looking at them. And what you want to do is set the right expectation. You want to make sure that when a user clicks on your game, go into the game, the the perception that you created with your title and your image actually met with the with the content and engagement loop of your experience. And finally, also try and provide informative descriptions. Remember, the user gets to see your description only after they have clicked on your game tile and are now on the game details page. Use this as an opportunity to sell the important characteristics, the unique characteristics of your game and converting that click into a valuable play session. Let me recap the last three slides and why they are important. By providing cleaner titles, great images, informative descriptions, you help us understand your content better so that we can use this information to target the right audience on your behalf, increase the odds of your impression resulting in engagement. You also help users form an accurate understanding or expectation about your game so that they can click and engage with it with confidence. Finally, I also want to talk about some of the ways in which we plan to help you. First up is structured metadata. I talked about how, by providing us useful information about your game, you help us target the right audience for you. And we understand that the metadata that we provide you right now is limited, which is why we plan to add more structured metadata with the intention of understanding your game better. So we'll be adding some of our features there. The second is we want to work very closely with you because we understand that your content is constantly evolving. You're constantly updating it, making it better. We really want to capture these as signals so that we can start to use them to retarget users on your behalf. And then finally, we also are going to focus on providing you better performance analytics so that you understand your entire experience funnel. So you understand where your impressions are coming from, how are you at converting them, and and use that to improve your experience and make your content even more engaging and appealing. Last off, I just want to mention, I'm going to quickly hand it over to Richard, but before I do that, I want to mention that we have uh, in the past posted a lot of helpful articles for developers on the dev forum, and we plan to do more and more of that to help you understand um, all the changes that are happening here on Discovery and guide you in making you successful. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to Richard, who's going to talk about sponsored ads.
All right. Thank you, Aman. So, Aman and his team have a really, really hard job, which is trying to make sure that we put the best experiences in front of each individual user so that we can drive long term engagement on Roblox. I'm on the other side of the coin, which is how can I build the tools to enable developers to take more control over their own destiny? Because there are significant challenges with the search and discovery experience that Aman's team is trying to drive organically. And these challenges exist not just on Roblox, but essentially on any platform that has a massive portfolio of options to share to users. So the challenges really fall into three distinct categories. And I guarantee you, each of you in the audience has faced at least one, if not all of these. The first one is what we refer to as the cold start problem. This is where you have a brand new experience with very little usage, which means that Roblox does not have enough data to rank your experience accurately. So every month, there are millions of new games that appear on Roblox with essentially no data that tells us who might be interested in playing this experience. And so this cold start problem is real. And I know that many of you who are starting new experiences face this. The second challenge is that your current audience is not your ideal audience. So again, in the early stages of developing an experience, you might find that organically you've been able to drive some discovery and get a fairly good set of users who are engaging with your experience. However, this may not be your ideal audience. And you may actually find that if you're able to reach a very different audience, that your engagement numbers increase, which of course then lead to better, more accurate ranking so that we can put your experience in front of the right individual. So the second problem of your current ideal audience is not your current audience is not your ideal audience, again, is a fairly early stage problem for developers. And the last one is that your experience may not be discovered as aggressively as you would like. This often comes into play when you have changes that you've made to your tile or to even your title or description, and of course, to your experience itself. And we see developers using text like update to try to drive more timely discovery of something that could be new. And so you're just not getting the discovery that you really feel like you need. So, as I mentioned, these discovery challenges occur on all marketplaces. I think a really good analog is looking at the Apple iOS store as well as the Android App Store. And public data shows that last year, if you look at all of the game categories in the United States across these platforms, you'll see that anywhere between 64 to 86% of all installs for games in these marketplaces came from paid acquisition. So I want to highlight that most installs on these platforms are coming from paid acquisitions. And in fact, if you look at how much these developers are paying per install, it ranges anywhere between a little less than $2 to as high as $3.50. I will tell you that there are some categories of games, like hardcore games, where those costs per installs go as high as 5, 7%, and $7 in the United States. On Roblox, when you look at sponsored experiences today and how much advertisers pay to get a gameplay, it comes out to about pennies. So there is an opportunity to very efficiently leverage the sponsored ads platform on Roblox to drive discovery and to address some of those challenges that I mentioned earlier. So we wanted to show some data that really demonstrates the impact that you can drive through sponsored ads. So we have a very basic funnel that we were sharing. And like I mentioned before, every month we're seeing millions of new experiences onto the platform. So those challenges that I mentioned earlier, we see all the time. So the funnel basically looks at, of all those new experiences every month, what percentage get at least one play, and then what percentage get at least 1 hour of play, a much deeper level, or just more engagement. If you go to the next slide, what you'll see is that with sponsored ads, we really open up this funnel. So looking at those experiences who run sponsored ads, we actually see that the percentage of those experiences that get at least one play is 2 times more than the average experience. And what's really interesting is if you look at the percentage of sponsored experiences that get at least 1 hour of play, so 60 minutes of play in a month, that's 7 times more than what you see through non-sponsored experiences. So this tells me a number of different things. Number one, obviously, sponsored experiences helps to drive discovery. It helps where the organic discovery may not be meeting your needs. But it also tells me that those experiences that are advertising today are pretty good experiences, right? This 7x compared to the average experience tells me that there's really good experiences that are already leveraging the sponsored ad system. So I want to spend a little bit of time. I think many of you have already used sponsored experiences or maybe have at least seen the creation flow, but I want to walk through the different features that are available. I will acknowledge that there's a lot more that we could be doing. There's a lot of features that I am dying to build, and so I will highlight some of those coming up, but I do want to share what's available today. So you can choose any experience that you own. The ad creative is essentially your tile today. And if you make changes to your tile, that is the tile that shows in sponsored experiences. You have some basic targeting options. This ranges from gender, age, which is under 13 or over 13, the platforms that are available. And the way that I would think about using targeting is essentially to learn, right? Get an understanding of what types of users may be more engaged with your experience. Because again, as Aman mentioned, every time a user is presented with an opportunity to engage with your experience, every opportunity impacts how your experience also gets ranked organically. So use targeting to get a really good sense for where your experience may be performing best. The schedule allows you to choose the number of days that you want to run your ad. It can be as short as 1 day, as long as 28 days. And then there's a daily budget. You can express how many Robux you want to spend per day. And this daily budget serves as, of course, the budget for the day, but also it serves as the equivalent of a bid. And based on your daily budget, we then determine how many impressions to provide based on the proportion of your budget relative to the other budgets in the system. Lastly, there's the ad name, which you can customize so that when you look back at your reporting, you can see exactly which ad and understand the performance. On the daily budget side, I do want to emphasize that the state of the ad system today is quite deterministic. There's a lot of improvements that we can make to do even a better job getting the right ad in front of the right user. But today, a lot of what you can influence is through this budget. So it is quite deterministic. It is a lot into the control of the respective advertiser. So then when you create your ad will show up in the sponsored sort. And you may or may not have seen this already. We've been testing this for several months actually. But we have launched the sponsored sort on Discover, which puts all of the sponsored ads into a dedicated sort, making it very easy for the user to understand that these ads are in fact sponsored. In search, they still show up as embedded tiles, but I'm very excited because since the launch of this sponsored sort, we have seen significant improvements in clicks, significant improvements in gameplays, with keeping overall engagement on the platform neutral. It's pretty hard to do, and we're pretty proud of the most recent launch. Lastly, I will share the reporting that you receive through sponsored experiences. Um, as you can see, there's just a summary of the ad that you've run. We show you the impact broken down by what you've been able to get through your spend. So we show you the impressions, the number of clicks that you've received, the click-through rate, the cost per click. We also have attributed visits. And so these are displayed both on a post-click as well as a post-impression basis. And the way that I think about these visits is that the post-click visit is going to be pretty direct. The user saw your ad, clicked on it, and engaged with your experience. The post-view is a bit more indirect, and it's very likely that a user may have received the impression, maybe then later some of that user's friends played and therefore discovered the experience and played. So it's a bit more of an indirect signal, but still very valuable. We show you the conversion rate as well as the cost per play. So what's next in sponsored ads? We plan to launch sponsored ads for new categories of assets or entities on Roblox, including catalog items. We know in the past that our UGC creators have really looked for ways to get more discovery of their catalog items, so we'll make that available. We're also going to apply that to groups, events, and other asset or entity types on Roblox. Secondly, there's massive improvements that we plan to make in ad delivery and bidding. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that per impression, we're delivering the most value, not only to the advertiser, but also to the end user. And so we plan to put more controls into the hands of our advertisers, but also do a lot of the core work to improve relevancy and optimization of our ads.